and welcome to 500 Open Tabs. I'm Kaveh Taharian.
And I'm Hannah Hillam, and we're here.
Welcome to the show. Hannah here has made it out of the ocean with her cadiddle. What is it called? The thing that the cadiddle hopper,
I don't
was
remember.
it? I don't remember. She's literally brushing her hair with a fork like Ariel from Little Mermaid.
It's a back scratch, and I found it. What does she call it? A flabobble? Doohickey.
Flabobble. Doohickey, flabobble. They're screaming at
They're so mad at me.
The tens of listeners are yelling at us for not knowing what it is.
They're like,
Scuttle would know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we can have Alyssa just voicing over us, just being like, it is called a
beep. A thingamabob? Is it a thingamabob?
Oh, I got 20, but who cares? No big deal.
I'm gonna kill you. What does Ariel call a fork? Dinglehopper.
Dingleberry. Sorry, Dinglehopper.
Dingleberry? I'm brushing my hair with Dingleberry.
Hannah Dingleberry Hillam coming to you straight from Chicago. That's where we're actually technically with the release of this. We're leaving for Chicago tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Yeah. But this week, we're in Chicago for C2E2. I am thrilled. And I know I always say that when we show up to a new city, but I really do love Chicago. Yeah. It really is one of my favorite cities in America.
It's underrated.
And I'm thrilled. Yeah, absolutely. Chicago, we love you guys. We're so excited to be here this week. We're so excited for the convention center. I'm excited to eat. There's so much good food.
Pizza, I've heard.
Pizza's pretty good. Hot dogs pretty good. Beers are good.
There's so much hot dogs. There's so many hot dogs at the convention center. It's like 8 different hot dog trucks.
Amazing.
You a hot dog
great
person?
Museums. Of course I'm a hot dog person. What do I look like? A non-hot dog person?
I don't know. You know what? I never know with you.
That's true.
You say something and I'm like, sorry, what?
I have a heart, don't I? Excuse me? Of course I eat hot. Do you know that
debatable.
Like Costco hot dogs have sustained me for like most of my life? Like what would I do without that $1.50 dog in me?
Seriously? And if they ever raise that price, I'm rioting. I
think everyone knows that and they will too. Anyway, Chicago, we're not here to eat the Costco hot dogs. We're here to eat your delicious local dogs. But Chicago, we're excited. Chicago.
This is a great
now I'm just thinking of Ace Ventura. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Please don't turn this podcast. Maybe you should turn it off.
Don't turn it off.
Anyway, T11, hashtag never forget. That's the table that we're at in Artist Alley. We have fun stuff. We have new stuff. We've got a new table set up, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Questionable.
Experimenting.
You're experimenting with dingleberries, trying to make sure it all sticks together.
I'm experimenting with table. With dingleberry hopper tables. Anyway, yeah, we'll have a new table set up that's going to blow your mind and make it so you don't skip over with your eyes when you're walking by. Okay.
Or you look at it and then you decide to skip over. But the important thing is that you saw it before you decided to skip over.
I need you to decide not to look at it. If you just don't see me, then I'm done nothing. I want to be denied.
Yes.
Sometimes I say things on the show and I'm like, I just learned something about myself.
That's why we do this. This is cheaper than therapy. Yeah, it's basically like we just yell at each other and then we have an audience and somehow we're able to discover things about ourselves.
Yeah. Great. Well, come to Chicago, T11.
What a plug for Chicago Comic-Con for C2E2.
Look, we don't know how to do this good. I ain't good at this. Okay.
I ain't good at no Chicagoan.
Anything new with you?
Other than us being in Chicago this week? Yeah. No, I'm very excited. Yeah, cool. That's it. I'm excited. It's going to be a good time. Come see us. Come talk to us. Come yell at us about fun stuff.
Yep.
Anyway,
you're first this week.
Am I first this week?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very excited to go because this one is going to be very fun. You ready? So
I'm ready.
Know we didn't actually properly. This year has been a little bit more chaotic for us. I feel like we're not as like super on top of everything. So we didn't actually discuss what we were going to do for the. I'm sorry, Mrs. Gardening over here, pulling out weeds and being all organized.
They were spite weeds.
Spite weeds.
I've gotten turned into the city 3 times for my weeds because people in this
resident criminal breaking laws.
People in this neighborhood don't understand what it is to be working class. I mean, neither do I. But like, bunch of classists.
Yeah.
One rainstorm, bunch of weeds. I get turned in. Come to knock on my door. Knock on my door. Okay, sorry.
Come and knock on my door. Okay,
Just talk to me.
I will. So we didn't really coordinate properly in terms of this being a Chicago episode, but I did do a Chicago tab this week.
Wow. I didn't.
That's okay. So, as fans of the show know, I visited this great city for tabs a few times, including our inaugural episode with Al Capone's foray into milk and eventually cheese.
That's right.
Remember? It's like I've done it a couple times now. I was like, I've done.
It sounds like he's addicted to milk. His foray into milk, like he's got a milk problem.
He's got a milk problem. He loves to get that Swiss cheese, so he can, you put two and two together there.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone knows all about old Al and prohibition and bootlegging and whatnot in the 1920s. But what if I were to tell you that there had already been an attempt to prohibit the sale of alcohol 70 years earlier?
Really?
And not only did that attempt fail, it also sparked the formation of a giant mob to go fight the cops, which resulted in at least 1 death, 19 injuries, and 60 arrests.
Okay, this is cool. Okay, is this in Chicago?
In Chicago.
Okay, tell me.
Pour yourself a nice frosty cold one, old listener, because today I'm getting into the lager beer Riot of 1855.
Whoa, that's early. That feels like that title feels like it should be during the Prohibition era, 100%, but it's not.
It's not. It's quite a lot earlier. So, Chicago had only been incorporated as a city in 1837.
Oh wow.
And it's sort of just starting to find its footing. It doesn't really quite know what it is yet. But just a decade later, across the pond, as you know, the Irish fall victim to the Great Potato Famine because of your favorite, the British.
The British started it. The English started it.
The English.
Go read about it.
Yes.
Don't include the Welsh in this. Don't bring them into this.
I apologize. You're right. The English. While at the same time, the Germans tried and failed to spark a revolution.
Oh, right.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, when we were talking about, what's his name? Del Shaw. This is like right before...
Charlie Del Shaw.
Charles Day. Charlie Day Shaw. This was like before that happened, right? This happened, right? Like the 1830s, 1840s?
So, that's basically simultaneous almost. It's like, it's all like crazy. 1847, 48, like around that time is when all this, or I think 48, 49 maybe.
Okay.
So those are actually kind of happening simultaneously, which is crazy. I don't know why I was sort of compartmentalizing them.
Yeah. We tend to do that, it's like you're like the Anne Frank and Martin Luther King were born the same year, that kind of thing, where it's like, what? I placed those two separate occasions.
Yeah.
But it's something like that, where it's like, can't believe all this was happening. Also, the 1850s and 60s in the U.S. was insane.
Yeah.
So much was happening.
Yeah, all this stuff right before the Civil War is like, I feel like I've covered it actually a few times now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's, like I said, it's crazy that these are happening at the same time, but suffice it to say, neither the Irish or the Germans were doing particularly great, and they needed to get the shit out of Dodge. And lucky-ish for them, this was the time that America began its expansion across the continent in earnest. And the next thing you know, Chicago gets this huge influx of immigrants.
Right.
And with them, a bunch of new traditions, culture, food, language, accents, all the fun stuff that comes when you get a new batch of friends in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And of course, the Germans and the Irish are both excellent brewers and distillers. It's like a big part of their culture.
Famously, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the Germans, they congregated on the north side across the Chicago River from City Hall and the older kind of Protestant part of the city.
Makes sense.
And with them, they brought their tradition of working like madmen all week. And then they'd like to take Sundays to relax and enjoy like a nice stein of beer.
That is so German.
Yeah, right? It's lovely. And suddenly outdoor beer gardens are like populating the north side with music and dancing, and families are celebrating the end of another work week. They're having a good time. They're eating food.
They're still there. Have you ever been to one in Chicago?
In Chicago, I don't think I've been to one on the north side. I don't know.
It's fully alive and kicking still. That culture of outdoor beer gardens and live music and stuff. Like my parents used to live in Wisconsin or in Milwaukee, so we'd go down to Chicago and go to like these festivals. And it was all and they have like this great summer, like the Summer Fest, where they have a ton of stuff like that, like breweries. Yeah. Anyway, it's fun. It's like, oh, this is fully German.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I've been to German breweries and beer gardens and stuff, just not specifically in Chicago. I've been to them in Germany. Excellent time.
Whoa, you've been to Germany?
Have you not been to Germany? I thought you have.
I've never been. I haven't been very many. I've been all over Asia, and I do not remember a single bit of it because I was
you were really little, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. My passport for when I was 1 is full.
Filled.
Which insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't been to Germany, but I'd love to go.
It's a great place. Of course. So that's happening. Meanwhile, the Irish, they start to populate the south side. And similarly, they're engaged in a good time, which as far as I'm concerned, everything sounds good to me. Like hardworking, love a good time, ship it, buddy. Let's do it. This is right. I don't see any problems.
They don't have to die from famine anymore. They're doing better than they were.
Yeah. But remember, unfortunately, losers have always existed.
What?
People who suck, losers, assholes. And
ruined my worldview.
One loser of the colossal variety was Dr. Levi Boone.
Dr. Levi Boone?
Boone. Oh, let me tell you, this dude was a piece of shit.
He sounds like, his name sounds like it.
Oh, he's the worst. Here, let me send you a picture of him just so you can get irritated.
I'll see Dr. Levi.
Dr. Levi Boone. Look at this guy. This dude sucks. His glasses are all stupid.
What's with the glasses? He's dressed in like a nice suit, and he's got a big white beard and slicked back white hair, but his glasses are the thing that really gets to me. They're just hanging off of his nose. There's no mustache. That's the style of the time. I don't want mustaches. They just want to look. Yeah, but he has these glasses that just kind of droop off of his nose with no way they're connected. I don't know how they're connected to his face.
The power of God, apparently.
You're right. Oh, I'm an idiot for not thinking about that.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, he looks like
through God, all things are possible, Hannah, so jot that down.
So jot that down. No, this guy looks like he is very self-important. That's the vibe I get from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Nice.
Yep. Now, old Boone Doc was a certified asshat, having given a speech in 1843 outlining a biblical premise for the justification of slavery. Cool.
You know what? It wasn't hard to do. You dig into that Bible. There's some premises in there. Premises for that. Wow.
Yeah.
I hate him.
And in a shock to no one, this guy who's barely off the boat, European, was suddenly suspicious of immigrants coming into Chicago with their work ethic and fun beer gardens.
Oh, so wait, where did this guy come from?
So he's from Kentucky originally. I mean, I don't know where in Europe. I'm sorry, Hannah, I didn't sit and do the genealogy chart to figure out where his ancestors are from for you, because I know you love that so much. Yeah.
You know what? I do, but not how you think. I got to figure out this guy's past. I hate him.
Yeah. And I know that he was born and raised in Kentucky, and then he eventually comes up to Chicago. And so this guy sucks. Anyway, so while at least to him, in his mind, the Germans were at least Protestant, but the Irish?
Right. Oh
my God, they're Catholics.
Germany was not into that.
Oh, famously, yeah.
Speaking of stupid family history, my German ancestors were Catholics. And so they were kind of like, we got to leave Germany.
Oh, German Catholics. Interesting.
German Catholics. Odd combo.
I was going to say, there's not a lot of those, are there?
Not after Martin Luther did that thing.
Did that thing.
You know, the door of the church or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah. So basically, he aligns himself with the unironically named Know Nothing Party and ran for mayor, which, for those of you who don't know, the Know Nothings were straight up dicks, and you need to know nothing more than that.
Wow, perfect. Was it based on like them just being a little all know nothing commoner kind of people? Is that the vibe they were giving, or why did they call it that? Do you know?
I think they were just, I started to read about it and I was like, I don't care. I don't want to know anything about them. Eat shit, know nothings. All I know is that they were like virulently anti-immigrant, and I think it was like a conspiracy where they're like, if you were asked them about it, they'd be like, oh, we know nothing. Like they were like cheeky about it.
Oh, so self-important.
Yeah, a bunch of losers.
So lame.
They sucked. So in 1850, Dr. Levi's 501 cream jeans lost his first campaign.
Okay. So he failed.
He failed in 1850, but nevertheless, she persisted.
And, Elizabeth Warren shows up.
And in 1855, he became the official mayor of Chicago. He wins.
Oh, okay. All right.
And in his inaugural address, he says, quote, I cannot be blind to the existence in our midst of a powerful political religious organization, all its members owing and its chief officers bound under an oath of allegiance to the temporal, as well as the spiritual supremacy of a foreign despot, i.e., can't trust a Catholic because they answer to the Vatican and not Washington. That's basically what he's saying.
Oh, so instead of being a cult to the Pope, be a cult to Washington, D.C.? That's
Pretty
literally
much
what they're saying.
Yep.
Dude, that kind of garbage. All a bunch of big words for not. Look, here's the thing. They look like you, dude. Boone? Boone is like an Irish, English, whatever name. These are your people. You look
Apparently
like them. Oh, they're Catholic? Okay, you just have so much hate in your heart. You got to find some reason to hate these people. Anyway, whatever. Although it's interesting because at the time,
yeah.
I'm giving some. At the time, there was like what was called the Second Great Awakening. No, everyone was starting new religions at the time. In the last
I remember
20
we talked
to
about
30
this.
years. And one of the big things was anti-Catholicism, which they were saying was like the biggest scourge to Christianity in the Americas because they were trying to get away from it. The Puritans, everybody came here to get away from the Anglican or Catholic Church or whatever. And so it was like this huge enemy, this big boogie monster kind of thing. So tons of Catholics come in. Of course, they're going to be like, no
thanks. Yeah.
2,000-year-old religion? No, thanks. I take a 10-year-old religion over that, please.
Listen, just because we said freedom of religion here doesn't mean that you're free to practice that religion.
That religion. Yeah. Freedom of religion to accept that one and come to find out.
Or the other one, or most of them, basically.
Almost all of them except for Protestantism. Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Anyway, it's great. It's a great speech. He also talks a lot about family values, quote unquote, and going to church on Sundays and generally being the most unfed man in America. It's all, it's the same thing that's happening. It's coded bullshit. It's just coded bullshit.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Under the guise of keeping your family safe. The one thing people care about the most, make them be afraid of your family's safety. Easy. Yeah. To get people to hate. Anyway.
So basically, he essentially goes up there and he gives in his inaugural speech, he's like, the Irish and the Germans are now squarely in his crosshairs. Right, because the Irish Catholics and then the Germans are like hanging out on Sundays drinking and like whatever, hanging out and having a good time. And he's just like, you guys should be in church. What are you doing?
They're like, we can drink in church.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe more people will go to church. Again, I hate to do an Arrested Development reference, but she's just like, if you need me, I'll be at the hotel bar. And she's like, there's no bar in the in the hospital bar. They're like, there's no bar in the hospital. She's like, maybe that's why people hate hospitals.
Exactly.
Lucille Bluth, Total Queen. I'm slurring my words today. I don't know why. Apparently, I'm drunk.
Man, drunk, dude. On a
Super
Sunday?
Wasted.
No, it's not a Sunday. It's not.
And of course, he wastes no time targeting the city's immigrant alcohol retailers. And Dr. Levi Cream Jeans resurrects a defunct Sunday ban. I'm just going to be saying Cream Jeans over and over again now.
Listen to the episode where you first said that. I don't know, people, which one it was. I don't remember anything. Okay? Good.
Go do a genealogy tour on that. Just be like, here's all the instances in which Coffin makes references to cream jeans.
I creamed my genealogy.
Genealogies. So Dr. Levi Cream Jeans resurrects a defunct Sunday ban on liquor sales and raised the cost of a liquor license from $50 to $300.
What is this, Utah now? Because that sure sounds like it.
Not only that, he shortens the term to 3 months. So this fee would have to be paid every quarter.
That's awful.
So suddenly you go from like $50 a year to like $1,200 a year just to be able to like sell liquor on Sundays.
Jeez. Okay. Popular. I bet that was really popular.
Huge. Yeah. Everybody loved him.
Yeah.
Additionally, because he wants to be more popular, he starts allocating more funding to cops, which is always a great sign of things to come. And in his recruitment, he asks for, quote, men of strong physical powers, sober, regular habits, and known moral integrity, i.e. real Americans, whatever the shit that means. I hate that term so much. He just wants to
kiss him.
He's like, just line them all up, just kiss them one by one.
Line up these moral men with these moral, sober men for me.
Physical powers.
Ooh, look how buff they are.
Oh my God, look at how hot they are. Look at those shoulders. I want to kiss you so hard.
No alcohol.
These cream and jeans. Do you know how many jeans they had to have on standby? Every new recruit he had to kiss, jeans creamed.
Jeans. He had an assistant that just provided jeans.
Assistant cream jeans.
We're stupid. Good.
Anyway, recruiting cops, making liquor licenses more expensive. This is a recipe for greatness. And
of course. And you know what? It's an age-old American recipe right here that we're mixing up.
For success.
Yes.
For like everything to go great.
Yeah.
So soon, each Sunday, the Chicago police were up the asses of any German-owned beer halls, while authentic or like real bars were basically left untouched.
Wow.
Yeah, it was essentially like, oh, you've got like an immigrant business, you're going to get fined.
Yeah, you got an accent? Nope, no way.
No thanks. And part of the reason Dr. Cream Jeans was so brazen in his attempts to shut down these gardens was that he was extremely confident that the state of Illinois would soon ban the consumption of alcohol entirely. This had been something that had been discussed to be introduced for legislation. So he was pre-gaming, if you will.
I will.
You like that? He probably would have hated that. He would have hated that reference.
Oh, he really would have.
He probably would have been more upset about that than the Cream Jeans. I don't know what the Cream Jeans is about, but I do not engage in pre-gaming.
I do engage in pre-creaming my jeans.
Pre-creaming? It's a pre-cream and a post-cream?
Yeah. Look, I don't know. The other day I realized I'm almost going to be 40, and I still act like I'm 15.
I'm over 40 and I act like I'm 15. That's my dream.
I met someone the other day that is your age that has an adult child.
An adult child?
Yeah, she's like 18. How? And she was like 18, 19. She's like, yeah, my stepdad is 41. I'm like,
damn.
Yeah, anyway. Doesn't matter.
Hopefully we can all stay 14 forever in our minds. Anyway, of course, everyone on the north side got super pissed. And of course, they also got mad. Zing!
I was going to say, pissed in the British way when she's drunk, right? Yes.
You like that?
Yeah.
So the Germans, they got super organized. They started holding public meetings and submitting numerous petitions because they're like, what the hell is this shit? Like, you're basically destroying our businesses. Not only are you the police harassing us nonstop, but they're like, we can't make money. And in a move that would be unfathomable today, the city simply rejected any criticism of their approach to make Chicago great again.
Wow. You'd think better of these people.
Just tore it up and wiped their asses with it. And so naturally, tensions begin to rise.
Yeah. You take away somebody's, I wouldn't say vice, but somebody's cultural, like alcohol's been around since before bread, they think. Did you know that? They think that they made beer before bread and then that bread came from the making of beer. They're like, oh, what else can we do with this beer stuff? We can make bread. That's how old it is.
Also, beer is awesome. Anyway, tensions rise and saloon owners who could no longer afford to pay the exorbitant and racist fees were suddenly just like, oh, well, guess we're doing this illegally now. Eat shit. Yep. And naturally, they all start getting arrested and the jails start to fill up. Because the cops are indiscriminate. They're like, whatever, jail.
Cops indiscriminate?
Can you believe it?
Doesn't sound right.
And the Germans, they really stuck together and they start to raise funds for the legal defense of all these people that are just indiscriminately getting arrested and put into jail. And pretty soon, the city courts, they're just like swamped. It's just filled with all these immigrants who are like, bro, what do you want from me? And they're just like hanging out with their friends in jail. They're like, oh, hey, whatever, like Klaus is here and like we're sharing a cell.
Sounds kind
of
like fun.
Honestly,
kind
Franz?
of. Yeah. How's it going? That's the thing. It's like stuff like that. We see it now with like marijuana offenders where it's like you're just filling jails with people who didn't do anything.
Almost like there was a financial incentive to fill the
almost
jails.
Like people made a lot of money doing that.
And then as a result of the prisons being filled, obviously the city courts start to get swamped because all these people have cases that need to be seen in front of a judge and actually dealt with. And the city's like, oh shit, like it's sort of like my inbox of having to do my taxes or whatever. It's just sitting in a giant pile that I've been avoiding and I don't want to deal with. Mm-hmm. And then I have to do it all in like one night. And then I'm like, where's like
happy tax week next week, everybody.
Oh no, see, I didn't even
Don't forget to do your taxes in 5 or 6 days.
Yeah. In the city of Chicago, the same thing. They're like, oh shit, this is really piling up. We need to deal with it. And it's too many. So they make this insane decision to stop. So in order to prevent a deadlock, they agree to an insane move of letting the verdict of one test case stand for all of its license violations.
That's insane.
They're like, we're just going to do this weird precedent thing so that like it'll just apply to everything else and it's fine. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't seem fair.
One and done. And on April 21st, 1855, the court was scheduled to deliver its opinion on said case. And for that, hundreds of people gathered on the north side and marched down Clark Street, determined to send a clear message that they were not to be pushed around. They also packed the courthouse and all surrounding areas. It was ACAB AF.
Yeah. Imagine saying ACAB AF to that group of people and they'd be like, sorry, what? Move. Get out of my way.
Yeah.
A kaboff?
A kaboff? Yeah, a kaboff. So, of course, Dr. Cream Jeans, being the genius that he was.
What's his name again? I forgot.
It doesn't matter. Dr. Levi Boone. No, he's Dr. Cream Jeans now for the rest of history. He's been retconned.
The picture that you sent me of him is like right behind the window that's open right now. So I'm just looking at his little face whenever you say cream jeans.
He's all, I tried to put little ear holders on my glasses, but it made me cream my jeans. So I took them off and only let my glasses hang on my nose.
I can't handle anything touching my ears. I don't know.
Or on my upper lip, because it makes me cream my jeans, you see?
Sorry, Grandma, who I remembered listens to this.
I'm going to cream my jeans like you ain't never seen.
Well, I do say that's a lot of cream in them jeans. Go on, please.
Oh, you're Team Edward? I'm Team Jean Creamin'.
I'm Team Cream Jeans. Cream team. We're the cream team.
We competed in the Olympics in 1992. The cream team. Michael Jordan was with us, also from Chicago. Not from Chicago, but, became popular in Chicago. Can you imagine him competing in a jean creaming competition?
He would destroy the competition. Are you kidding? He would wreck everyone. No jeans could hold that. No jeans could contain that.
He's coming out to the Alan Parsons Project while he's just creaming jeans running out onto the field. This is the worst visual of all time. I'm so sorry. I wish we could play that song.
Michael Jordan.
It's going to be like, and I took that personally, and then he's just going to start creaming jeans left and right. Is that a Chicago thing now? No, it's not a Chicago thing.
Creaming jeans?
No.
That's a universal thing, dude. How dare you?
I've turned this into a convention table.
Oh, no. No, please.
Anyway, cream jeans. He brings in all these cops.
Keep talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're snorting.
The snort is so embarrassing. It's so stupid. But I noticed at last convention that Ella, my cousin, also snorts when she laughs.
That's good.
Hey, cool. I'm not alone. Okay. Get on with creaming the jeans of this guy.
Creaming the jeans. So he brings in all these cops because all these people are there being like, we're not to be messed with. And it's not quite clear how it begins. It might have been, just a shove or a dirty look. Or maybe a cop put ketchup on his hot dog. Who knows?
Okay, wait, pause. You keep mentioning this ketchup on a hot dog thing. Is that not okay?
Not in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Did
Explain.
You not know this?
No.
I mean, I'm not from Chicago, but from what I understand, they will forcibly make you cream your jeans if you put ketchup on a hot dog.
Cream now!
No, a Chicago dog's not allowed to have ketchup on it. It's like a whole. There's all these jokes. People like they'll arrest you. Wow. I actually tried looking into it at one point. Part of it is like, again, it's like
these are German.
Yeah. Or the Polish, or also don't forget there's a big Polish immigrant population that comes. It's not really like a thing that they do. And then I also read some theory that it had to do with like after Upton Sinclair wrote The Jungle was around the same time that ketchup started becoming popular in the States. And they were saying that like because it was sweet and sugary, it became this conspiracy that like, oh, they're putting ketchup on stuff to cover up the fact that this meat is actually like rotten and spoiled. And so it became like an anti-ketchup thing. I don't know if there's a direct correlation to that.
That is what they would do with rotten meat, because people would eat rotten meat, but they'd like cover it. And someone said that that's how Cajun spices came to be, because they wanted to. My Louisianan friend, I'm not just saying this, said that's what Cajun spices came. That's like to cover some of the more rotting, because they didn't really, it was a swamp. Yeah. How do you keep meat good for that long?
Yeah.
Anyway.
That might be a tab for another day. Anyway, I do know that you're not supposed to put ketchup on dogs there, so certainly not a Chicago dog anyway.
Well, execute me in the street, because I will.
Perfect. Puree me in the wood chipper. So anyway, a hot dog. Cops are just lining up, putting ketchup on hot dogs, and the next thing you know, boom. All that tension that's been building for months and months suddenly comes pouring out, and a straight up riot erupts.
What is this red stuff? Get it off this hot dog.
Get it off. and they're fighting. Germans are like, I don't know, choking cops with like lederhosen, and someone's throwing like a Mercedes-Benz hood ornament into a police captain's eye.
All the German things.
Someone's getting beat with a bratwurst. I don't know what people do. They're just fist fighting, basically. Yeah.
I just picture the sound of a bratwurst smacking against somebody's face.
Even though they were outnumbered, the police managed to scatter the rioters, which is crazy.
Whoa.
It's nuts. And the rioters retreated across the river. Anyway, he's basically freaking out. Cream Jeans is like, I need all the cops. All the cops.
You have to stop calling him Cream Jeans.
Never. I refuse.
Okay. Okay.
Cream Jeans goes in. He's like, we need cops. He goes to the fridge. He opens up and he looks at the cop carton and it's empty. And he's like, oh my God, we're out of cops.
Oh no.
That's why you got to leave a note. There's no more cops. What are we going to do? So Cream Jeans goes on this rampage, swearing in an additional 100 police officers.
What? Just out of the blue. Just like, you're a cop now. You're a cop. You're a cop.
Kiss. Jean Cream.
Part of the cop.
He had 100 pairs of jeans just lined up, ready to cream, as he
it's been
basically sworn all these cops.
For me. He comes home to his wife. Honey, I couldn't stop.
She's like, Levi, you never make love to me the way that you used to.
It's because there's all these cops. We have to move on. I can't stop thinking about this. It's not good. I'm fixated. You've ruined me today. You've destroyed me.
I was so excited to tell you this, Tab, and just be able to say Cream Jeans over and over again, because I was like, you'll get it.
Go back and start a counter and tell us in the Discord
how many times do you think I've said it so far? Dear Lord.
Hundreds.
100.
Like 100 times. Okay.
As many cops as Dr. Cream Jeans swore in that night.
Wow.
Because he had a hunch. Slipping and sliding. He had a hunch that the mob wasn't just going to go home and give up. They were going to come back. And he's like, we're going to need more cops for this. And sure enough, they regrouped. And the mob 2.0 was spotted marching down Clark Street again, but this time with revolvers, muskets, and like 2x4s and like whatever, like sticks and shit.
Whoa!
They're ready to like throw down. They're just like they're like, we're coming prepared. This is happening. They were there just to be initially at the courthouse to just be like, yeah, we want you guys to know who's boss here, and like, we're not down with this. And then as soon as the cops basically came in and started a fight, they're like, oh, you want to start a fight with us? We'll bring it.
That's all we want.
And he freaks out and he orders the Clark Street swing bridge to be opened, effectively cutting off the awesome correct mob from crossing the river and beating a bunch of rent-a-cops till they creamed their jeans.
Hot cops.
And actually, I think I have a picture of the
I want to see these guys.
Well, they don't have pictures of it happening in the process.
Did somebody eat Taco Bell and film these cops? Because I would love to see that.
That would be really cool. Oh, that's right. That was last week's episode.
Yeah. Whoa.
But so, the bridges go up and down or whatever. Or at this point, they swung around where left. So basically, he's like, oh, they're trying to come over. So he just was like, I'll cut off this bridge so that they can't go across.
Yeah. Okay. It's a cool picture.
And the mob is like, oh, shit, we can't do this. So they turn around and they go back to Clark and Randolph. But they're greeted by the creamiest, genius group of baby cops ever seen, fresh out of the oven.
Don't say cream and jeans with the word baby.
We're almost done. Don't worry. I'm just going to keep doubling down.
I know you are. I'm so mad I'm reacting in a way that's giving you fuel.
It's bothering you, so I have to. I have a moral obligation to do this more.
And
this is the basis of our friendship.
Appreciate that.
I know. I was going to say, I can't not do it. If you didn't laugh, I would have completely cut out all the cream jeans, but now I have to keep saying it.
I'm going to try not to laugh.
So basically they meet and it's like Braveheart again. Mel Gibson's there. Yeah, right in the front, being like, I'm Australian, Scottish. Now he's from Chicago and German.
Oh, man, it's a conundrum.
They're just like old school war style.
Yeah. Are you
just sort of like charging at each other. Yeah. Yeah. And both sides open fire. They start shooting guns at each other.
Oh, no. Okay. Oof.
One German was killed and several others injured.
I can't believe only one person died.
I don't think any of these. Remember, so it's like a bunch of random people who just brought guns, and then cops who were like, yesterday I was like I don't know, baker.
For 24 hours.
They're like, I don't know how to use this. And 2 officers were also shot but survived. And they just they're going at it. They're fighting. They're shooting, blah, blah, blah. But according to the Tribune, the mob retreated into the area's numerous lager beer halls. Eventually they just gave up and stopped fighting. And they just like retreated. And they went to seek refuge in the beer halls. And then the police just started going in and like raiding all these different beer halls and arresting anyone that seemed to either be actually holding a weapon or that they accused of holding a weapon.
Oh, jeez.
And pretty soon the mayor just declares martial law. He's just like, this is insanity. What are we doing?
Whoa. It's like, you did this, dude.
Yeah,
this is your fault.
It's literally your fault.
What's happening?
He brings in
on yet another pair of jeans.
Half the budget of the city of Chicago went to replenish the jeans for the mayor.
It's like when I was a janitor at a water park. I remember the day I discovered that I can put like 6 trash bags lining one can. So I don't have to like put a new one in every time. That's what he does with jeans.
He's just wearing like 30 pairs of jeans at once.
And he can barely walk. He's like,
he's pulled by horse carriage.
His assistant is in charge of, each assistant takes one of the legs of the jeans and whips them off.
It's like a rickshaw almost, where they have to like pull it basically because his legs are up this way. Oh, it's a great visual. He's just creaming them.
We're just shitting all over this dead guy. We're just like, yeah, he gets to ride. He can't walk. So picture him from a little carriage with his perfectly straight legs because he can't bend his legs. And he's like, martial law.
And he's like, Oprah Winfrey, you're a police officer. You're a police officer. You're a police officer. Kiss, 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 kiss. But just kissing everybody.
This is true table energy you're getting. Yeah. This is crazy.
Woo! Anyway, he declares martial law.
Hold on. Imagine this, everybody, but for 4 straight days, every single day.
Yep.
And then after the conventions end every day, we still do this. It's insane.
We have some fun. We have a good time.
Are you kidding? We have so much fun. It energizes me in a way that I don't know how to explain to people.
It fills the cup every time. Yeah, it's always just like it fills the insanity cup.
It's the idiot cup. It's like I need someone to be a stupid dum-dum with. And like, well, people will be at our table at some restaurant, and I'll see in their eyes, they're like, "What am I doing?
Please die. Go cream jeans elsewhere. Why
did I come here?" These people are talking about. I don't even know what our last thing was, but the one before it was Jizz Fest.
Oh, right. Well, that wasn't our fault, to be fair. Somebody had spray painted that on a wall, and we couldn't.
And they expect us not to latch onto it for 5 days straight? No.
Which I turned it into Edge Fest, obviously, and then it became. Because you were like, you're gonna go to Jizz Fest, and I was like, no, I'm a contrarian, so I'm gonna go to Jizz Fest, and I'm gonna edge. I refuse to jizz at Jizz Fest. I'm just gonna turn it into Edge Fest out of spite. And then it turned into Edge Fest, yes.
And then anyway,
for those of you who are still listening to this podcast and haven't turned it off, a militia unit was called. Allegedly, there was a cannon that was deployed, but that's contested.
Okay, so no cannon, maybe yes cannon.
Maybe some people say there was a cannon in the around the courthouse. Some people say it was like whatever hearsay and blah blah blah. Yeah. But anyway, thankfully the mob never returned because they had made their point and they knew that they had won. And the resulting backlash destroyed the career of Dr. Cream Jeans's political ambitions. Dr. Cream Jeans's.
Oh no, Cream Jeans. What did you just?
Cream Jeans's. Cream Jeans's. I saw Cream Jeans's in a birthday cake.
I'm not laughing.
I'm not creaming jeans.
I'm not wearing jeans, so.
Anyway.
Joke's on everyone.
Basically, his political career is destroyed. And that summer, to add insult to injury, the aforementioned state referendum on prohibition basically lost. It was voted down. Nobody wanted it.
No.
And in the next year's mayoral election, the Irish and Germans teamed up to vote out the anti-immigrant candidates.
Yes, they did.
And it was so bad that Cream Jeans didn't even bother running for re-election. He knew that his jeans were creamed.
He had creamed his last jeans. So stupid. I'm so stupid. This is why people don't stop at our booth.
This is why we only have tens of listeners.
Okay.
I'm gonna get a call after this to talk to people about
you have to talk about business.
How do we get advertisers to come onto the show?
You're having a call with the network report.
Yeah, they're just gonna be like, "Can you scale back the talk about cream and jeans?" Unless
then you can have some advertisers.
Maybe Kirkland will advertise with us, be like, the best jeans to cream in. Or when you need to cream jeans, but you don't have the budget. We need to cream jeans on a budget so you can buy 50 pair.
They're flexible enough to wear 10 pairs at a time. For ease and convenience.
Listen, unrelated. The other thing, I had a whole thing in this where I was going to talk about what style of jeans this guy wore, but I was like, I can't. I was like, I could just imagine him watching the Super Bowl and being like, Kendrick Lamar wearing flared jeans. That's a lie. His calves aren't that thick. Like, this guy probably wears skinny jeans.
Oh.
I just had this image of somebody being like that indignant, being really upset about flared jeans because they're lies. Like, because that's not what someone's leg looks like. It's just like they're presenting misinformation.
How is his leg that big?
His calves are not that thick.
His calves would just end in the ankle.
A man's jeans must reflect the true state of his calves. Anyway, I didn't put that in there, but now
well, hi, patrons. Saying hi to the patrons.
Stupidest tab I think I've ever done, and that's saying something.
I don't think that's true. I contest that.
Anyway, after all this, his political career's over. He doesn't run for mayor. The tavern license fee goes back to $50, and the pubs are opened again on Sundays. And as you said, there's still a vibrant culture of beer
Germans
gardens and stuff, and Germans are drinking. It's a huge part of Chicago. And the city of Chicago lived happily ever after, never again having a complicated problem with mobs, the police, politics, anything. Thumbs
Segregation.
up. Segregation, nothing. It was a utopia. I can't wait for that Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. The end.
There's already a musical called Chicago. So
he's going to do Chicago too. Anyway, that's my tab. That's my.
We're going to have to put all of that laughing in the Patreon. So go join. We said a lot more things about creaming jeans.
That's going to be the note. We're going to be figuring out a teaser. I'll be like, Alyssa, can you put the part about creaming jeans as the teaser? And she's going to be like, which one?
The teaser's like 20 minutes long. Anyway, that was delightful.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're welcome. I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Thank you for being an idiot. This is delightful. Yes. That was a great tab. And immigrants, you band together, you can do anything.
Unless, of course, you're getting indiscriminately arrested and deported.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Listen, I felt like what was fun about this story, aside from the fact that, of course, I love a good Chicago story, I love a good mob story, I love a good bunch of people fighting cop stories. It's also kind of being like, yeah, you know what? Like, political action works when people stick together, and it really does. Good coalitions. And they're basically like, yeah, you should be scared of us because we will vote you out and we will basically not take your shit.
Yep. And here's the thing. They want us to be split apart. We're all
exactly.
They want all the on our side to be divided, so we can't, make any change. But
obviously, it was easier when the police state wasn't militarized and they weren't crazy and have the Eye of Sauron behind them all the time. And simpler times. Man, I would have loved to die in childbirth in 1850. Not have to deal with any of this. Yeah.
That would have been my lot. I would have been like, dope, I'm out. Peace.
I'm out. One and done.
Well, that was delightful. Thank you.
Yep. Cream and jeans.
I forgot to tell everyone about my shirt.
Right.
On the YouTube, this is a shirt Kaveh got me for my birthday. And it is a painting of a cat done by John Hinckley. Right here. The man who tried to kill Reagan. So that's how good you are at giving gifts, is that, here's the thing about Kaveh and gifts. He gives a gift, but there's also another layer of it. It's so deeply entrenched in the friendship that it's kind of mind-boggling.
I'm glad you like it.
I appreciate it. I love this shirt. Today my daughter was like, that's a cute cat. I'm like, yep. This is a would-be assassin's cat painting. Anyway.
Listen, he did sell his paintings. He does sell originals on eBay. Unfortunately, with our tens of listeners, I can't afford to purchase it. But don't think there wasn't a part of me that would have loved
Dude.
and just deeply desired to have bought you an original cat painting by John Hinckley.
I think I would have wept.
I would have wept at just the possibility of being able to have bought something like that. But if you're able to, you can go buy it.
Give us money. Oh, yeah. Go buy it. Yeah. That.
Yes.
Woo!
Anyway, thank you for the shout out. I'm glad you liked the creamiest, geniest of all the tabs. How many listeners do you think we've lost just based on this episode alone?
Tens. AKA all of them.
We have no one left.
There's maybe one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, Hannah. Thank you for listening to my insanely stupid tab. What have you got for us this week?
Well, I've got a kind of not equally as stupid, but just as absurd.
Love it.
Yeah. So no more sad, race relations tabs for me. I'm diving right into anti-corporation kind of thing.
Love it.
So me too. So I don't know if you for those who don't know, you were a documentary filmmaker at one point in your career. So I figured you probably might know about these guys, but hopefully you don't.
Corporations?
No.
I'm
going to be talking about the Yes Men. And
I don't know the Yes Men.
You don't know the Yes Men? Good.
I don't know the Yes Men.
So the year is 2004, right?
Okay.
And it's December 3rd, 2004. And a man named Jude Finisterra, a spokesman for Dow Chemical, which is one of the largest industrial chemical companies.
This guy's going to be great. Obviously, he's the hero of our story.
Yeah. Jude Finisterra is a spokesman for Dow Chemical, and he's sitting in front of a BBC News camera in Paris, France, waiting to go live on air. And he appears very nervous. I will send you a picture of what he looks like.
Nervous Nelly?
He just looks like he's sweating bullets.
Oh, no.
There's Jude.
He's making it bad.
Yeah. So he's creaming some jeans.
He's creaming jeans. Actually,
that's the face of someone who's cream.
Yeah, that's mid-cream.
That's mid-cream.
That's like oh no, I'm creaming my jeans.
I'm on national TV or international TV. So the reason for the interview is that it is the 20th anniversary of what is called the Bhopal disaster.
Okay.
And it was the world's worst industrial disaster after a massive pesticide chemical leak in a plant in Bhopal, India in 1983 killed 8,000 people in the first day.
Jesus Christ.
It's worse. The days that followed, when all was said and done, 20,000 people were dead.
Bro.
And
horrific.
We've never
I like how you're like, I'm going to be funnier and more goofy. You're like 20,000 people died in a chemical leak.
Isn't that just like unimaginable? Like that number is insane. I'm not going to focus on this, but it was horrible.
Horrific.
And no one knew about it because the company who ran the plant, Union Carbide, kind of just backed away. Didn't do anything, paid out a little bit, and then it went forgotten because most of the world doesn't care about anybody but themselves, especially us. This is why he was sitting there, because the BBC got a hold of someone at Dow, and they were like, we actually got an interview. And Dow had just bought Union Carbide, the company that had been responsible for this
at the time of the interview, they had just bought it, or they just bought it when the disaster happened?
3 years before the interview, Dow Chemical had purchased Union Carbide, or what was left of it.
After the disaster. You said it was 83, right?
83, yep.
But then this is 2004 was when this interview was happening.
So this is around the 20-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And the BBC actually got someone from Dow, the parent company of this place, to come and talk. And so they were pumped. They had actually managed to get a spokesperson. And plus, no other news in the Western world. What?
I said this bastard had no idea what he was in for.
Oh, yes, he did.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah, just wait. So.
Okay.
And plus, no other news in the Western world was covering this. Just like they didn't cover it when it happened. But the BBC did, because they were still very much like political ties with India, and, because of all the colonizing.
Colonialism.
So the report began, and the correspondent in London introduced the segment, and then he said, we have someone from Dow Chemical, and he passed it over to Jude, who launched immediately into an entirely full apology, saying, today is a great day for all of us at Dow and for millions of people around the world. And today I am very happy to announce that for the first time, Dow is accepting full responsibility for the Bhopal disaster. And he goes on to say that they will liquidate Union Carbide for $12 billion and give all that money to the victims of the families of those who died. He also promised to clean up the area, that they would get the water clean and provide medical support for years to those who still live in the contaminated area. As you can imagine, the BBC was overjoyed that they got a Dow Chemical. I know, your face is saying it all.
Never trust a corporation who says they're doing something for the right reasons.
So BBC was just like, oh, well, thank you. We're so glad you said that or whatever. Great. Turns off, and it took about 2 hours for them to realize that there was no Jude Finisterra that worked at Dow. There wasn't even a Jude Finisterra. The name Jude is from the patron saint of the impossible, and the word Finisterra translates to the end of the world in Latin. And they found that the website that they had gotten the information on Jude and Dow was fake.
Whoa.
They had no idea who they just interviewed for 5 minutes on international television.
Holy shit.
Yep. By then, it was too late. Dow Chemical's stock had plummeted. They lost $2 billion in 2 hours.
Wait, so this dude's awesome is what you're saying. It was just like all a giant hoax to destroy. Yes! Yes!
I know. So it tanks. And Dow, I can imagine, is panicking and just like, who is
Hold on,
this guy?
I love this so much.
I know.
I love this so much. This is so... this warms my heart.
Yep. Your heart's going to get warmer. So,
people talk about like, oh, I saw like a puppy and like a panda, like, and I'm like kissing,
right
and then
here.
they weren't. No. This is the kind of shit that I'm like, oh, not just that it tanks their stock price. It's just
it tanked their stock. People lost billions of dollars.
Oh my God.
So good. So the company Dow, I imagine, is panicking. And other news outlets start to pick up this story because they're like, this isn't real. And for the first time in the history of the Bhopal disaster, everyone's talking about the disaster. Everyone's actually... The best thing about it is that all these news companies had to go from the ground up and explain the disaster, what happened, why there was a response, who this person was. It was just this beautiful, beautiful cake of justice. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like this... Anyway, so...
I just want to interject here and say that protest is like a big thing I think a lot about, as you know. It's just like, how do you stand up to people and people in power, like bullies, like whatever, terrible companies, terrible corporations. And of course, the easiest ones are always, whatever, overthrow the government. People are always like guillotine, left or right or whatever, whatever, cool. But there are these moments where you think of people, you're like, I really love when something's just so below, not under the radar, but it's like, you would just never think to do that.
Yep.
And it's so simple, not like not a drop of blood spilled. And it's like, there's such the things that hold society together. It's like it's so thin. It's so thin. The other example I always think
tiny threads.
The other thing I always think of more recent memory is Kaepernick, where I'm like, all that dude did was stand on a knee.
That's it.
It's all he did, and people just destroyed anything. He didn't say anything.
People imploded. People were like,
because the dude went on a knee. That's it. Right? And you're like, there's so much like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I always think of like alien terms, right? And you're like, well, what happened? And you're like, no, there's a whole thing. This song means this, and this is this, and they're like, but he just stood on a knee.
All he did was do a knee.
And like, this guy just pretended to be a guy.
Yeah, that's it.
And he made a website.
He goes on to say later, it was surprisingly easy.
It gives me life.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. Love it. He has all these tips on how anyone can do this. So while all the fallout was happening, two dudes, Jude Finisterra, whose real name was Jacques Servan, was sitting. They were sitting watching this fallout on the TV with his accomplice, Igor Vamos. Now, these two men, Igor and Jacques, would go on to form a sort of collective guerrilla activist group called the Yes Men. Okay. And I'm going to tell you now how Jacques, a.k.a. Jude Finisterra, found himself posing as a spokesman. And in his words, the long, winding story that got him there. So it goes all the way back to the 90s when Jacques was working for Maxis, who makes The Sims. Shout out. And he was helping develop Simcopter. Did you ever play that game?
No.
Simcopter was like a weird, I don't know how to describe it.
It's like a flight simulator kind of thing?
Yeah, but you could like militarize the city. Like it was...
Of course.
There was some... Anyway, and he was sick of Maxis because they were making him and everybody else work like 60-hour work weeks. And Jacques, who is gay, felt that there was a huge homophobic culture at the company, which would make sense. It's the 90s and it's a video game company. Yeah. And so he kind of like...
As opposed to video game companies now, which are...
Right. famously
so open and progressive,
accepting.
yeah.
So as a funny little joke to him,
Hashtag not all video game companies, obviously.
No, yes. Of course not. I love video games. And I love the LGBTQ community. Just kidding. Oh, no, I am not kidding. I do love it. I'm part of it. Okay? I meant just kidding about the sarcasm. Sarcasm?
Yes.
Can I not talk? I can't talk.
I fell into the sarcasm and I could never get out.
Anyway, so one night, he wanted to call him Jude, but his name's not Jude. Jacques was like, I am programming these little Sims that walk around this city that Simcopter flies around in, and I'm going to make all the dudes kiss.
Oh my God!
Yes. So he programmed
literally your dream.
My dream. He programs all the little Sim guys.
And then once you kiss them, they turn into cops, one at a time.
They cream everywhere.
Cream.
He programmed them to kiss and like wear Speedos and be buff, like just jacked gay dudes. And
amazing.
There was a media storm because this didn't. No one noticed, and it went out and it got published, and 60,000 people bought the game, and were like, "Why are all these men kissing?" And of course, parents were like, "What?" And there's a huge media storm, and he got fired, but he didn't care because he was like, "I did something so stupid, and it caused this many people to freak out."
Awesome,
amazing. And so he and his friend Igor Vamos started creating these fake satirical websites. Because they were like,
okay,
let's just poke these corporations. So they start making these fake websites posing as global corporations, all of the ones they hated the most. Exxon, McDonald's, Shell.
It's back when you could do that too, where like the internet was still the earlier days where no one could tell the difference necessarily.
Yep. For those who are too young to know, back when you could put anything you wanted on the internet, no one could really tell. There was no way to tell what was an official site and what wasn't. There was no verification. So you could put literally anything on the internet, and if the wrong person believed it, then it could be disastrous, or it could be amazing.
Unlike now, yeah.
Unlike now, yeah.
But also, like, giant corporations weren't necessary, or a lot of corporations just weren't on the internet, or like they were very slow to actually like transition on there and like give themselves a proper online presence.
Right, and this was 1999, and so it was just at the cusp of everybody starting to like get online, and it was the perfect time for them to start making all these fake websites, and one of them they made was the Dow Chemical website called DowEthics.com. And on it, they put a fake Dow press release that said Dow didn't actually care about Bopalis because they couldn't even afford lawyers. So why would they even care?
Jesus.
They kind of forgot about it. One of their friends from
Dow did, or they did?
No, they did. They made so many fake websites that they were like, well, whatever. Forgot about it, right? Meanwhile, they start getting a press attention for their fake site that they made about the World Trade Organization.
Do you remember when in Twitter, just real quick, when they started to make blue checkmark a thing? Where they were like, now everybody could just buy blue checkmark, and then people just started like, they were like Disney blue checkmark, and then they just started tweeting the most like somebody, I can't remember who was it somebody did something similar. I think it was like United, I don't remember if it was United Healthcare or something. One of them did it.
Yeah, and it like
it briefly did the same thing where like the stock price went down because they were just like, we're wrong. We're going to like give whatever, like everybody all their payouts or something. I can't remember who it was. I'm drawing a blank, but there was like
came out and said, no, we're not. And everyone's like, yikes.
There was like a very expedited version of it where it was like one day where someone did something similar. It's so funny.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was
This is like the nascent version of that. I wonder if it was. Who knows?
They're still doing this. It's harder now because this was the perfect time. So they kind of forget about that.
Because the internet's owned by like gigantic mega corporations that are worth more than the GDP of like gigantic industrial nations. And there's no way of getting around it. Anyway, sorry.
Good. Let's chip away at it.
There's a monopoly. Yeah.
It's almost like this is the second Gilded Age, but way worse.
Yeah. Worse.
Cool. Way worse. So the World Trade Organization website that they made.
Oh man, the WTO.
I
remember the WTO from
poor people are evil because they're poor, and being rich makes you good.
Yeah.
So like,
oh no, that's so unfamiliar.
And so they got invited to speak at multiple World Trade Organization conferences through this website.
That's so gross.
So they did. Jacques and
amazing.
And Igor were like, yeah, let's do it. And so they go to Australia and they go to this conference. They ended up telling that everyone should just sell your vote to the highest bidder because it does may as well. And then also that Gandhi's an idiot who doesn't understand free trade. And then my favorite is they told everyone that the main problem with the slave trade is the inefficiency. And
I mean, now it's like that. Those guys would have the #1 podcast.
Yeah.
And like the highest shared stories on Facebook. That's the irony of all
100%.
this. Yeah.
Now I just no, and everyone, they were like, at the conferences, people were quiet until they absolutely couldn't be anymore. So they're like, these people are weirdly polite. We're talking about how the slave industry, the slave trade needs to be more efficient, and people are just like, oh, And they would get thrown out of these places and make the news again. And then they got really into the Bush campaign, right? Because this was 2004 at this point. And Bush, if you remember, was getting in those buses and just going town to town. Do you remember that?
I tried to block out as much as I could about the Bush.
I forgot all about it. So, of course, the Yes Men just buy a bus and they put Yes Bush Can on it, and they go town to town, just doing, like, disrupting and making, like, being dumb. Like, and they were like, we are better at telling you guys about the Bush campaign than the campaign itself. Like, just
we're a super PAC.
No, seriously, they pretended to be like. Anyway, then when the election got closer, they changed the Yes Bush Can website to say No Bush Can't. The Bush campaign is now coming out to support John Kerry, and they started campaigning as the Bush campaign for John Kerry, and didn't work, as we all know. So shortly after the election, the Yes Men receive an email from the BBC World News, and they're like, "Oh, that's right. That's a Dow Chemical website we made. We totally forgot about that."
Oh shit! Okay.
And the BBC was like, "Hey, we want to ask if you want to have any word to say about the Bhopal disaster anniversary on the BBC." And the Yes Men were like, "This has got to be a fake, right? But what if it's not? Just like us."
Yeah.
So yes, absolutely, we'll do it. And they partnered with Greenpeace to help pay for it. Like, these like activists at Greenpeace were like, "Yeah, we'll help you with this." And they got them over to France because that's where they were, at the time. And they didn't know what tactic to take, because they were like, we could just get up there and be like, we hate all Indians and Bhopalis, or we could say that they actually care about the victims and that we're going to apologize, which could do damage to the Bhopalis because it would get hopes up, but it would also force Dow to come out and make a decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm like a bated breath. I'm like, what happened? Where does this go? What happens?
Fast forward.
Yeah.
He does the broadcast, right?
You've broken my brain. I'm not even creaming jeans anymore. I'm just sort of like, what do they do?
You've risen above creaming.
Yeah.
So
cream
after
of the crop.
The broadcast, the cream
has gone to the top.
Ugh.
Okay, good. Good. I've upset you. Keep going. Sorry.
Great. Feed. There. You're energized again. So after Jacques was like, I was terrified because he kept expecting, sitting there in front of a camera with the Eiffel Tower behind him, for some Dow person to be like, who's this guy, and call and get him just taken out. So the whole time he looked so nervous because he was like, how is this still happening? How am I still talking? They're still letting me do this. And after that was over, after the few hours, and everyone realized it was a hoax, everyone started being like, hey, let's actually get Dow people to come and say something. And Dow releases one paragraph saying that they will actually not be doing that, and that there is no plans to help any of these people. And the Yes Men, they acted quick. They were like, let's do another fake press release from Dow that really drives home the point that we hate, that they hate these people and they want them all to die. So they let this whole thing that was just said, as per our previous statement, Dow will not commit any funds to compensate and treat 120,000 residents who require lifelong care. Dow will not clean up the Bhopal plant site. Dow's sole and unique responsibility is to its shareholders, and Dow cannot do anything that goes against the bottom line unless forced to by law. And
I mean, it's an honest statement about the state of what they're in.
And again, everyone believed them. They believed Dow and the fake Dow. So they were like, how is this happening? They were blown away by how easy this was. Like, on their website, they have an amazing website, by the way. Jacques was just like, we just kept doing things and people just kept believing it. And these companies just kept getting in a tizzy and so Dow did absolutely nothing. Yeah. Dow did nothing. They went silent. They did nothing. They still to this day have not done anything. But
that's a bold move for them to not even try and like come out and say anything to try and cover it up.
Right.
Because I mean, I think you would think they've got enough money. They would hire some PR firm to try. It's funny. I'm actually reading a biography by a guy who used to work for like all these terrible people in Washington and stuff. It's about like him running a PR firm. And it's like, it's like one of the dictums he says is that don't acknowledge that you're the enemy, just find a worse enemy. So he's makes somebody else the bigger enemy. I'm like, this is literally what I've been reading about.
Well, I think like, that was what happened, because behind the scenes, everyone started blaming the BBC for their bad reporting.
I wonder if that's probably what they did.
I think it might have been.
I bet you that's what it is instead.
They didn't just
slip stories to other people, just being like, the BBC didn't do their
can you believe they
homework.
Found this hack?
Yeah.
Which is
they'll put anybody on.
Exactly.
That becomes
How can
the
you
new
trust
news
them?
cycle.
They'll put any old person who lies. So they started. All these other news organizations were like, yeah, the BBC's. Can you believe their journalistic integrity? It's not there. They just found some guy on the street that said he was a guy from Dow.
I bet you money that's exactly what happened. That's what Dow did. That's what Dow did. They hired a PR firm and they took down BBC.
Yep. And it kind of went, as they said on their website, it was a little bit of a blip. Like nobody really, after that, especially in the UK, because they'd been talking about it for years, but everyone's like, oh yeah, the Bhopal disaster. Okay. But in America, they're like, it wasn't for the British audience. It was for America. It was for them to see, because no one had ever talked about it or anything. And it did do the job. People did become more aware of it, and they did see an uptick in support and like donations and stuff like that, and people going over there to help clean up. So it did its job to a point. But as far as, because again, everyone saw that the Dow came out and said like, we're not going to help. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, what's your problem, bro?
Yeah, maybe, it makes you think, it makes somebody actually question their morals and the morals of the companies they support, which I think in the end, it may have been a quote unquote failure, but I don't think it was. I think it was like, I mean, if you change one person's mind, people started being like, well, how dare they get the Bhopali's hopes up?
Yeah.
Again, I think this was probably Dow, now that you said that. They got all their hopes up and
100%. I'm 100% sure that's what happened. That's exactly what they did.
When they went to Bhopal a year later, the Yes Men did, the two of them, and everyone there was like, you guys are the best.
like heroes. Yeah.
We got our hopes up for a minute, but like, that's nothing compared to like the fact that the entire world was talking about this.
That's like
getting looked at.
That's more than just hopes. That's like a catastrophic embarrassment that is more than just they looked bad in the news. It's like, for a moment, you destroy their wealth. Which is the only thing that these people gave a shit about.
They only care about money, and you tanked the economy.
Do you know how hard it is to like? It's just a stab, right? And then you pull it out, and then it heals. But like, you're able to get the knife in.
It's a pretty bad.
That's admirable.
Scar now. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that for 2 hours,
that
their stock tanked is amazing.
It's amazing.
All because some guy was just like, sure, yeah, let's do it. So the Bhopalis are actually like, these are all, you guys are awesome. Thank you. Like, and it just outweighed the fact that they were like, oh, I wish that had happened. It's like, well, of course you do. You've been wishing for 20 years for something to happen to help you. What's this? Another disappointment? That's nothing compared to watching this company bleed out a little bit. Like, it's so cool. And it was one of the largest of its kind hoaxes, like guerrilla activism of its time. And I don't know if it could ever work again like this, but I think the Twitter thing maybe was close enough, but that's all for the Bhopal. But I do want to talk about some of the other things they've done, because they've done dozens and dozens and dozens of activisms like this.
Activations like at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, activations. In 2015, when there was a huge drought in California, do you remember that? When they're like, you'll get fined for watering your lawn.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, it was bad.
Rich people were still watering their lawns and getting fined. They're like, that's
by
fine, we'll just pay the fines. We don't care.
And so the Yes Men contacted Moby, the singer. And they were like, will you be in on this?
At his vegan restaurant. Yeah.
Exactly. They're like, will you help us with this? Because we just found out that 1 pound of beef requires 1,800 gallons of water. And they're not cutting back on any of that water at all in California, in the Central Valley. Yeah. And so they made this whole campaign with Moby as the spokesperson, being like, it's a movement, being like, okay, everybody stop showering so that this beef can get some water. It was like this whole, like, stop showering. That's the answer. Just don't shower. No more showering.
People in LA were like, what do you mean stop? What do you mean? When did I start?
Really? Is that?
People in LA can be so smelly. Oh, it's gross.
Oh, yeah. Me too. I showered today, though. My goodness. Can you believe it?
Wow. Great. As you would say. Wow. In the words of Hannah Hillam. Wow.
And I went deep into their website. You guys have got to go to their website. It's really fun because it's endless. Like, if I wanted to cover all of this, it would take years to cover all these crazy things they've done. Like, one One of them, they went to some place in like a textile manufacturing conference, and they were like, we need more slave labor. And then they like he like ripped his pants off, and out came this giant phallus, like golden phallus, made like a blow up phallus. And everyone's like, get this guy out of here.
That's
like,
a literal dudul talo. We've talked about this. Remember, it's golden penis.
Oh, I learned another word.
Yeah. As an aside, you should tell me what you texted me last night.
I said I was in line in front of a family who I was pretty sure was speaking Persian or Farsi, and I was thinking like, oh, I wish I could speak. The only words I know are the words for dick, the C word, and nap. That's it.
Dude, I died laughing, and I was like, "That's all you need to know."
I know. I like searched my brain. I'm like, is there any other word? No.
Short. Yeah.
Anyway, another thing they did, hold on, I only wrote it in here, was they passed as representatives of ExxonMobil and told 300 oil people that they're actively causing global calamities, but not to worry, because once all those people are dead, we can use them to make more oil. And the whole place was...
Now that gets them elected.
Right.
That's more of why you can't do it now. It's more like, no, yeah.
People would be like, that sounds great. Kill everyone.
Yeah. Yep.
And they were finally forced off stage after they lit commemorative candles that they said were made from the flesh of an Exxon janitor. And that's when everyone was like, is this a joke?
That's the part that's too far.
Yes. They also made fake New York Times paper that they distributed like 100,000 copies of this paper around New York at the same time the actual paper was coming. And the front page was Bush accusing himself of treason during the Iraq War. And then they also did these like Halliburton-funded survivaballs because they're like, who needs climate change? It's going to happen anyway. Just get one of these survivaballs and you'll be fine. You can survive in this little ball you live in. And they took them out into the streets, like these prototypes. They're like, look, global warming. You can just get one of these from Halliburton. Like,
bro. These guys remind me of sort of like a spiritual kind of cousins with our friend Joe Reginella doing the statues and stuff. They're like these little hoaxy kind of fun things that people
and
totally get like thrown
anyone.
off by.
All they're doing is just making these people say something back, which is really
forcing
powerful.
Forcing them to respond. Yeah.
Forcing them to respond, forcing them to make statements, press releases. And on their website, I'll end on this. They have this like, they're like, here's what we've done. And they have the list and it says, we've destroyed brands. We create illusion. We create illusions online. We involve communities. We disrupt events. Do something with nothing. Impersonate. Fail miserably. Prefigure a better world. And the fail miserably one is all the ones they have deemed failures because they just didn't pick up press or whatever, but dozens. And they say that they want to do this because they want to subvert. They want to participate. Subvert. They call it culture jamming, which is subverting the culture to stop it in its tracks so people can like stop and think instead of getting caught up in the next big thing, which we need now.
The irony is, of course, I don't know if we need culture subverting right now because that seems to be all that's happening, just in the wrong direction.
Isn't it interesting how nowadays, like all of these things just really wouldn't work? But they have done things in the last 10 years, and I didn't really look into it, but if you want to laugh.
It's just harder to do it because you can't you can't get to people directly anymore. It's
because there's little pockets.
Well, not just pockets. It's the same thing as before. It's like when you own the railroads and the trains. It's like, well, how are you supposed to be able to get people to like see or like how can you deliver them anything?
So yeah, that's the Yes Men, and I do want to say,
awesome.
Their names are Jacques and Igor, but they are under pseudonyms for the Yes Men. So they're known as so Jacques is known as Andy Bickelbaum. And Igor is known as Mike Bonanno, and those are their Yes Men names.
Bonanno.
So when they get questioned by the news after they do their stunt, they're still not themselves. They're the Yes Men, which is Mike and
layers,
Andy.
Like an onion. Yeah. Are they? So is there a documentary about this? Is that why you were saying?
There's 3 documentaries about this.
Oh shit! Okay, and I'm gonna go check those out. This
you should watch
amazing.
The first one. It's really funny. It's all about the I think it's all about the World Trade Organization hoaxes that they did.
Okay.
And you can see the golden phallus and all that.
Is there one specifically for the Dow Chemical one?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I think it's the second one, but I just think these guys are awesome. They're heroes.
Amazing. Absolutely love it. That was
and
a
it reminded
great
me
tab.
of you.
Yeah.
A lot. And I can't put my finger
That's
on
awesome.
why, but
because they're cool as shit.
Yeah. And by the way, on their website is an entire place where you can learn to do all of these things yourself. And I'm just putting that out there for no other reason besides it's fun.
None. Yeah, I'm going to go check it out. Just to learn.
Just to learn,
Just because I love learning. Because we love learning here.
I'm learning.
Hannah, that was awesome. Thank you. I really enjoyed that a lot.
I enjoyed yours.
Good times. So now we're at the part where we're going to close our tabs. What do we want to do?
Yes.
How do we want to close them?
I don't know.
Should we drown them in beer? Just open a can and pour it out. Should we pour one out?
Should we pour one out for the tabs?
Yeah, I was going to say we can't do cream and jeans. That's probably too much of a... That'll get us blocked. Yeah, let's just pour one out for the tabs.
Okay, we're going to pour one out for the tabs. Okay.
Yeah. You want to count us down?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Pour one out. I'm closing the what is Ariel call a fork, or as I wrote, what is Ariel call a furk, because I can't spell. Okay. And you go first with the emails.
Yeah. Okay. So first up is Kim from Flushing, Queens.
Nice. Hi.
My name's Kim and I'm from Flushing. Cues of the Nanny theme song.
Nice.
And I really appreciated last week's episode talking about the CIA Aswang scandal screw-up. Kava had mentioned wanting to get more Aswang stories. So if I may share a family story with y'all, I'm very excited about this.
This is what we wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not tab related, but it seems appropriate in this case, since in the Philippines, history was orally passed to the next generation, though we also did have our own writing system. Mm-hmm. My family immigrated to the Visayans from China. Visayans, I'm sorry. And I've been there ever since. It's a rural part of the islands, technically the countryside. Back then, there were especially no lights on the road, and it was customary for people to open their homes to weary travelers who happened to be passing through and spend the night.
Whoa.
One dark night, an old woman knocked on the door of one of my great aunt's house, asking if she could rest there. A lot of the homes there were humble Baha'i kubos. It translates to English as field house. That have limited space, so my relative let this old woman sleep near her baby, which was already in the crib. There was a sweet interaction between them. They pretty much ate dinner and went to sleep. Some time after the lights went out, a neighbor walking by heard the baby cry and naturally didn't think anything of it. The next morning, my grandaunt looked for the old woman who was nowhere to be found. She assumed the old woman had continued on her travels, but realized her home was suspiciously quiet. She thought, is my baby still asleep? Is my baby not hungry? Pulling back the curtain to where the baby slept, she screamed and broke into tears. The baby had been drained of all its blood.
No.
Its body had been cut, revealing that its liver was gone.
I hate this. Go on.
Well, this part of the story is different from Aswang lore. Superstitious family members believe the Aswang shapeshifted as an unassuming old lady to enter the house. Side notes. Number 1, you may have read this in your research, but in case you haven't, one of the ways to detect the presence of Aswang is to have a vial of oil outside your door. Should the Aswang shapeshift, the oil will boil once it tries to enter. Number 2, my nephew has reached the age where he enjoys violent video games and Greek mythology. Because of this, I thought he would be ready to hear this story because the story is in our family, but it was too real for him, and he was in fact not ready.
Neither was I. I'll be honest.
Neither was I.
That was shocking. Man, you guys don't mess around.
Bro, Filipinos, ooh. I'm afraid to go camping with you and hear stories at the campfire, like ghost stories and shit.
Turned my stomach because that's my worst nightmare. My absolute worst nightmare. Oh.
Absolutely.
Because when you're first a mother and you don't hear your baby, you're like, oh no, it's dead. When really it just slept through the night for the first time and you're insane. But man.
Anyway, hope this story interested you both. Nowruz Mubarak, y'all. Kim.
Oh, thanks, Kim.
Thanks for the shout out. Kim, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing your family story.
Yeah,
although it was gruesome and deeply upsetting, we did ask for it, so I'm actually very thankful for it.
We asked for this, and
we asked for this, especially because this isn't something you can just find as a tab on the internet. This is awesome. I'm really happy that you sent it, Kim.
Woo. Thanks,
that's crazy.
Kim. Oof. Okay.
So keep oil outside your houses, everybody. If it starts to boil, Then you know, Noswanga's in
then
the
you
area.
know, careful, don't let any old women in. See, this is why I don't let anyone in my house ever, okay? Screw community, screw helping people, screw being, WWJD. Like, I'm not letting anyone in. Don't come in. Anyway.
Don't come in. You're not invited.
This is from Victor from the Canary Islands, which is in Spain.
Right.
Hello, Hannah and Kaveh. My name is Victor, and I am listening to you from the Canary Islands. Is it Canary Islands or Canary? I don't remember.
No, Canary Row.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Canary Row is near me. Okay. From the Canary Islands, Spain. I am a biology nerd, and I just finished my master's degree in that field with a focus on botany.
That's so cool.
Isn't that cool? Because I think we mentioned a botanist recently.
I did a whole thing about botanists in Russia and
that's what I'm about to say.
Lysenko I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I especially enjoyed Kaveh's epic saga about Lysenko and Vavilov last season. Why isn't this story a movie yet? Anyway.
That's what I was saying.
Right. My tab for you, or a show, like a big, long, good show.
Yeah.
Anyway, my tab for you today is the Wikipedia article about atomic gardening. These two, man, if I saw this article, I'd be like, click immediately. Those two words, man, those are just honeypot for me. Long story short, during the madness that was the 1950s nuclear research, scientists decided that exposing plants to gamma radiation was a new exciting way to produce new varieties of crops. Idiots. We're so dumb.
It's like the Incredible Hulk, basically.
Yeah. They constructed gardens with a strong radiation source in the middle that usually just killed the plants directly next to it. Radiation shreds the DNA of all things. Too much radiation is lethal, but give just enough and a dark and twisted magic happens. The cells repair the damage, but scars remain in the form of random mutations, and some of these mutants turn out to be useful. This technique is still in use and has led to over 2,000 new varieties of plants.
Whoa.
Right. One of my university professors once gave an angry rant about this topic. Classic professor. Plants produced by this method are under less restrictions in the EU than plants produced by modern technologies like CRISPR, which he argued should be safer because you actually know what you want to change in the genome instead of randomly blasting it and hoping no nasty surprises happen. I hope you enjoyed this little tab. Keep up the good work, Victor.
That's awesome.
Wild?
Yeah.
I gotta read more
Congrats
about
on getting
that.
your master's, Victor. I know how that shit goes. Dear Lord. Welcome back to reality now that you're out of grad school.
You're checking
it takes
back
some
into
time.
the real world. That hit me when you were like, I was like, do you remember this meme? And you're like, no, it was 2010. Why would I remember anything from that?
Why I don't know anything.
You were just like deep in on
was
film
that on the
sets.
show or did we just talk about that randomly?
We just talked about that randomly, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because it was through the Discord because people were like sharing memes about stuff that was on the internet, and I'm like, I went to grad school in 2008, and then I went to work on film sets for like 1,000 hours
like
a week.
10 years straight.
I was like, basically, I wasn't really online until like 2020, maybe 2019-ish.
Yeah.
No, I mean I was online, but you know what I'm saying. Not to the extent that I am now.
Chronically.
Yeah.
Did you see that study that was like everyone get offline because it's literally killing your brain?
Oh, it's true.
Anyway,
I saw something.
read it
that was
online.
Like people, yeah, right. I read it on the internet, so it's probably true. Anyway, if you guys also have an awesome tab, those are two really fun ones too. This was a fun episode. I enjoyed this one. Yeah, we got some good stories.
You enjoyed for once. You enjoyed this.
Yeah, for once you did something good, Hannah. Good job. If you have a tab that you'd like to submit, please go ahead and send it to 500opentabs@gmail.com. That's 500. Let us know what you learned, where you're from, and of course the link to the article. Additionally, we love, or actually, if you don't have an article, like earlier, Kim, who had like a cool family story that was relevant to one of our tabs, we love those too. That'd be fun.
Love them.
Maybe we can get more of those. That'd be awesome. Additionally, we like a good voice memo. Try to keep it around. People are like real stressed out. They're like, it's not exactly 90 seconds, roughly. It's okay. We're not your teachers. We're too lazy. We're just we'll just cut it down if we have to. It's okay. But we want to hear your voices. We need to know that you're not bots.
Yeah, I don't think a bot could write that story Kim sent.
That was an awesome story. Holy shit. Anyway, what else we got?
You can follow us at 500 Open Tabs as well on Instagram and Blue Sky. And you can follow me at Hannah Hillam and Kaveh at
PermaFriends on Instagram. And additionally, I'm on Blue Sky. And of course, if you're in the Chicago area, if you're listening to this, we're going to be here Friday through Sunday for C2E2 table T11.
Yes, T11, but the 10th, 11th, and 12th will be there.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come see us. Yeah. We'll have, hey, maybe we should pretend to show our pieces that we're going to have right now, even though at the time of the recording, we don't have them.
This is what I'll
go first. Here's my thing.
It's hilarious. Look at it.
Look at you laughing at it. It's so good.
It's a
no, I showed it to you what it was.
It's incredible.
It's a Kinsey Street Bridge poster featuring Mothman, which of course is a reference to the famous Dave Matthews Band tour bus dumping shit incident
into the Chicago River.
It'd be really fun. And of course, it's a bridge. And it's Mothman, and it's Kinsey Street, and it's shitty. It's all my favorite things. Chicago, shitting, bridges, Mothman. I had a moral obligation to put this in there.
You couldn't not do that. Mothman and bridges, you're going to have to include the Dave Matthews Band thing, or tour bus thing. And come get one of those, Chicago only, right? Mm-hmm. And then I, of course, have made more of those cat magnets that I can't stop doing, those hand-painted.
They're really cool.
They're fun. And here they are. Ta-da!
Did you end up selling the big one, the 4-piece thing, the 3-piece, the big wooden thing?
No. Should I show that?
So that's still available? Yeah, it's great. It's beautiful.
I'm really loving paint pens. It turns out I didn't hate painting class in college. I just didn't have the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm obsessed with it now. So I did these, and then I've got these 2 prints up from my book that I'm selling as prints now. So I'm excited about those.
Yeah, of course. If you're in Chicago, don't forget, this is the first time that I'm going to be there. So I have my Mothman's Compendium books. I've got my Perma Friends books. I've got my Imaginary Friends Forever Avocado Chronicles books. Mostly all ages kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. One's a graphic novel series. One is a collection of comic strips, and the other one's a book. They're all fun. They're all goofy. They're all insane. If you manage to make it to the end of this episode, then you kind of know. There's not a lot of gene creaming, though. I managed, when I do these books, I don't do anything like outwardly gross like that.
No, you're gross in real life, but not in your books.
It's true. My books, because I want this to be, my dream is always like somebody gets an all ages thing, and then some kid that's like younger, it slips it slips past the radar, and then they get exposed to something that's kind of crazy and fun that adults maybe think that like they're too young to understand. But like, I remember understanding a lot of stuff as a kid.
Too.
And so I appreciate when it was like Simpsons. It was like, I loved that people spoke to me in a way where I was like, I know that there's weird shit that's happening in the world and no one's telling me about it.
I'm not I didn't like being pandered what
to
or when or how, but I know it's there, and I'm glad I'm here with it. Yeah.
It sparked a lot of curiosity in me as a kid, and it made
kids
me
like
interested in way more things. Yeah. So I feel like I try to treat that same level of respect to kids. Yeah. So that's a lot of how the tone of what I end up doing is. Mm-hmm. That's probably the most full-throated support of my own work I've ever done on this show. Oh my God.
That.
Crazy. We better get out of here before I start saying nice things. Thank you.
Oh, heaven forbid.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you to everybody in Chicago in advance for coming to see us. And
thank you. And I'll see you at
the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet.
Yes, I will. And you know what? No poo this time. Just no. Hang on. Let me try it again. I'll cream you at the Gwen Stefani. No. Keep it Josie. Speaking of Josie, I talked to her, and she's like, the reason why the Secundus Nixon thing didn't work is because it wasn't a call to action. And I've been thinking about it ever since.
Secundus Nixon shat in the Gwen Stefani tribute toilet 5 times.
That's not a call to action.
We'll talk do later. That. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyway.
Go do that. Bye.
Cream jeans.